This is KRWG Public Media. News anytime online at krwg.org.
Local support for a portion of today's programming is provided by
Base Auto Sales, in business for 40 years, provides a test drive. Located at 490B North Valley. Virtual showroom of used vehicles online at baseautosalesllc.com. More information at 575-526-4793.
Serving southern New Mexico, this is the award-winning KRWG-TV News 22, where news matters.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rosemary Montañez. New Mexico State Police Officer Darian Jarrett is laid to rest in his hometown of Lordsburg. And now those who loved him face life without him. The funeral was this afternoon at 2 at the Lordsburg High School football field. He was buried at the Shakespeare Cemetery in Lordsburg. Officer Jarrett was shot and killed a week ago yesterday when he stopped a man who was suspected of dealing drugs. The video you are seeing on screen was from the procession from Albuquerque to Deming. Officer Jarrett leaves behind his pregnant girlfriend and 3 children. Officer Darian Jarrett's death is a shock to the New Mexico community, and many other officers agree. KOAT's Sasha Leninger has a story.
Heartbroken.
He was wonderful. He was a hard worker.
This hurt me to my core yesterday. I had to leave.
Those who went to the academy with Officer Darian Jarrett describing him as an outstanding man whose heart was 1,000 times bigger than his badge.
There's a lot of stuff we would partner up on at the academy, and he was one guy that no matter what, he always had my back.
He was the first friend I made when I was there. Kind of made it an easy transition for me.
And those that trained him all say he was an unforgettable man with an infectious personality.
He's one of those guys that always had a smile on his face. You could tell he truly had a passion to help people and wanted to do the right thing.
And the moment they found out this tragic news, they were at a loss for words.
You just go back and think all the good times that you had with that officer, just because that's what flashes in your head, being that he was such a good guy.
Jarrett was, so squared away. I just know that he would not have gone down without a fight.
All still in disbelief that their brother in blue, their friend, this hero, no longer with us.
We do a lot of exercising in front of the memorial wall there at the academy on Santa Fe, and you never picture that one of your classmates is going to be up on that wall. It's just unbelievable.
In Deming, I'm Sasha Leninger, KOAT Action 7 News.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Gabriel Chavez. People all over the country are doing what they can to help the family of Officer Jarrett. Among those is 12-year-old Zachariah Calderidge from Orlando, Florida. He will raise money by running a mile in honor of Officer Jarrett. The New Mexico State Police Association has announced it will be accepting donations for the family. Those interested in contributing can send a check or money order to the NMSP Association, P.O. Box 36024, Albuquerque, New Mexico, zip code 87176.
A Las Cruces business is also raising money. News 22's Francisco Soto explains how the business is trying to help the families of those affected.
When you pass by House of Graphics on West Amador Avenue, you will see people going in and out of the store. The reason? These stickers.
All right, thank you. So right now we're selling decals for $5 a piece to go to the LCPD officer that was hurt yesterday's pursuit, and then the state police officer that was ultimately killed yesterday.
After the incident on Thursday, House of Graphics took to social media to spread the word. Las Cruces residents like David Gallegos are seeing the community coming together in times like these.
And I'm humbled because people around me that are in there are purchasing way more. Some people are putting some serious money into this, and even the people that can only purchase one. I mean, it's been a non-stop purchase the entire time I'm here.
Perfect, thank you so much, appreciate it.
The owner of House of Graphics says that the incident did not only hit close to home because it happened here in Las Cruces, but also because he knows one of the police officers who were involved.
For one, I didn't know if he's okay, and then the Instagram video started circulating about that, and then that looked horrendous. And so it was, once I found out he was okay, I was like, all right, better. And then he finally texted me that night, and I was like, all right, we're cool.
The LCPD officer that was injured that he is referring to is seen in this picture donating to the fundraiser. Catherine Benegas says the dangerous job and duties of a police officer is what she had in mind when she decided to donate.
Just understanding what the officers go through on their day-to-day and then to encounter something like that, it just kind of is very shocking for our community and just very saddening.
And caring for each other, no matter what political beliefs you are, what ideology you have, when the community's in need, you step up.
All the way on the left.
Ford says that he is proud to be in a community like this one.
Cool, thank you so much, and we'll be doing this until next Friday.
Francisco Soto, News 22.
At the moment, House of Graphics has raised over $15,000 for the state police officer and over $7,000 for the Las Cruces police officer. This is a combination of local and online sales.
The man who killed Officer Jarrett is identified as 39-year-old Omar Felix Cueva. State police and Homeland Security investigations have been pursuing Cueva in hopes of arresting him. Cueva has a history of crimes involving drugs and other illegal activity. The charges have been accumulating since 2000 to 2010 in Southern California.
Last Wednesday, just 2 days ago, was the 31st anniversary of the Las Cruces bowling alley massacre, a mass murder that remains unsolved to this day. On February 10, 1990, two unidentified gunmen opened fire on 7 people, including 3 adults and 4 children. 4 people were killed that day and 3 were injured. One of the victims died years later of complications relating to that incident. There are $30,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of the suspects. Call the Las Cruces Crime Stoppers at 800-222-8477.
The impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump heads into the weekend after an emotional few days. So far, we've seen new video of the deadly insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. Karen Kaifa has the story from Washington.
On January 6th, President Trump left everyone in this Capitol for dead.
A direct personal appeal from the House impeachment managers to their jury, senators, most of whom experienced the January 6th insurrection firsthand.
The evidence will show you that ex-President Trump was no innocent bystander.
The Democratic prosecutors alleging former President Donald Trump's incitement began well before his January 6th speech to rallygoers, with repeated calls to stop the steal.
His false claims about election fraud, that was the drumbeat being used to inspire, instigate,
and leaning on disturbing Capitol security video and other law enforcement footage and audio for a dramatic timeline of the insurrection. Critical of Trump's actions that day and his inaction.
He did nothing to stop it, nothing to help us.
Video presented by the House Democrats showing just how close rioters came to former Vice President Mike Pence and to the senators themselves.
You were just 58 steps away from where the mob was amassing.
Responding on Fox News, President Trump's attorney David Schoen accused House managers of reopening wounds.
They're just hoping to drum up emotion and get their last shots in at President Trump.
The defense begins their arguments before the Senate tomorrow. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
As the trial goes forth against former President Donald Trump, New Mexico senators react via Twitter. Senator Ben Ray Lujan via Twitter expressed his thoughts after rewatching video evidence, writing, "To see again the danger that threatened everyone in the Capitol and the bravery of Officer Goodman and Capitol Police, it took me back to that tragic day." Senator Martin Heinrich stated that the attack on the Capitol was an assault on democracy itself. President Joe Biden is moving ahead with his promise to strengthen the fight against coronavirus. He promised to boost vaccine supplies and stay focused on getting relief money to those who needed it most. CNN's Jeremy Diamond reports.
With his predecessor's impeachment trial underway, President Joe Biden is keeping his focus on his administration's coronavirus response.
I have a job. My job is to keep people. We've already lost over 450,000 people. We're going to lose a whole lot more if we don't act decisively and quickly. The Senate has their job. They're about to begin it. I'm sure they're going to conduct themselves well, and that's all I'm going to have to say about impeachment.
Biden forging ahead with his $1.9 trillion COVID relief package. Meeting with business leaders in the Oval Office, Biden throwing his support behind House Democrats' bill, which would send $1,400 checks to Americans making less than $75,000 a year, rejecting Republicans' $40,000 income threshold.
he supports that. Where the status of the negotiations is at this point, yes, of the $75,000.
On the vaccine front, the administration nearing Biden's unofficial goal of 1.5 million shots a day. And officials announced Tuesday that vaccine shipments to states will increase to 11 million doses per week.
So that is a total of a 28% increase in vaccine supply across the first 3 weeks.
On a call with the White House, governors still expressing concerns about supply.
You now have about 10 million New Yorkers waiting on 300,000 doses. Big question on the call with the White House coordinator by the governors is supply, supply, supply.
The administration also boosting its effort to reach underserved communities. 1 million additional doses will be allocated and sent directly to 250 community health centers starting next week.
Equity is our North Star here. This effort that focuses on direct allocation to the community health centers really is about connecting with those hard to reach populations across the country.
The CDC still hasn't released its guidelines for reopening schools, even as Biden pledged to reopen most schools in his first 100 days. That guidance still expected this week.
His goal that he set is to have the majority of schools, so more than 50%, open by day 100 of his presidency. And that means some teaching in classrooms. So at least 1 day a week, hopefully it's more.
The president is also hopeful that the Senate can soon get back to confirming his cabinet nominees.
New Mexico is making progress in the battle against COVID-19, and Doña Ana is one of the counties leading the way. This means restaurants in the county will be allowed to open at 25% capacity. And starting yesterday, New Mexico is no longer requiring a 14-day self-quarantine when coming from a high-risk state. Instead, they are asked to get tested for the virus upon arrival. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham applauded New Mexicans for their work towards the advancement and asked the travel remain limited. The state will release an updated map on the 24th of this month. Valentine's Day is this Sunday, and that means Customs is on the lookout for illegal crossers. They're making sure that Valentine's Day flowers are free from insects, pests, and diseases that could harm the agricultural and floral industries of the United States. CBP encourages the public to consult their website before they import floral arrangements so they know which flowers are permissible and which are prohibited or restricted.
As the number of Americans getting vaccinated against COVID-19 continues to rise, so do concerns over the highly contagious virus variants. It's led some to suggest the need for a yearly COVID shot, much like the flu vaccine. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
Across the U.S., the race against coronavirus variants continues. About 1 in 10 Americans have now received at least one dose of the vaccine.
I've already had COVID, and so I'm a little bit nervous because of the reinfection rate. That's the big thing right now. I wasn't as nervous. I was going to wait it out and wait till later on when it's not so urgent, but I thought I better get in on it now because of the reinfection.
Only one state now, Alaska, is showing an upward trend in coronavirus cases, but new CDC data shows nearly 950 known cases of the highly contagious virus variants in the U.S. CEO of vaccine maker Johnson & Johnson now suggesting those mutations may mean an annual COVID shot will be needed for years to come. The company asked the FDA for an emergency use authorization of its vaccine last week, and a green light could further boost vaccination doses available across the U.S.
Supply will increase, and we have to make sure that American public sees the data and has reliable sources to go to so they increase their comfort in being able to take the vaccine.
A new Gallup poll of more than 4,000 Americans taken at the end of January shows 71% of those surveyed are now willing to get COVID-19 vaccines, but 2/3 were not satisfied with how vaccination is going in the U.S. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
In that Gallup poll, of those unwilling to get a vaccine, most said they were concerned about the rushed development of the vaccines. Others saying they want to wait and see if it's safe and effective. And Hannah Fresquez is up next with the weather.
Starting off with your national forecast, we're looking at a snow and rainstorm developing this weekend that will make its way across the United States. We can see that it will be developing in Washington and Oregon and make its way down here to us in Las Cruces. Now highlighted in purple, they will be expecting heavier snowfall such as Salt Lake City and in Colorado. But in my next map, we can see how it moves across the United States, making its way into Texas. As hard parts being hit will be Dallas and Oklahoma City, and Houston and Austin, they will be seeing a mix of snow and rain. Now in my next map, we are looking at the ingredients of what is making the snowstorm. So there is a southward dip in the jet stream, and what this does, it allows moisture to rise into the Arctic air. Now when air enters the atmosphere, this produces clouds and precipitation, and if it's cold enough, we will see snow, which is exactly what is happening here in the United States this weekend. Now in my next map, we are looking at lows that will be challenged this week with this snowstorm. We can see mostly in the Midwest, not here in New Mexico, but we can see in Wichita, Kansas, and Casper, Wyoming, they will be seeing those low temperatures. Now in my next map, we are looking at your 6 to 10 day outlook. This will be for starting on Tuesday. We can see on the West Coast, they will be experiencing likely below averages, but it does drag down here to Las Cruces. In the Midwest, they will be seeing much below average temperatures. If we take it to the East Coast, they'll be seeing below average temperatures. And if we take it down to Florida, they will be seeing bright sunny skies with warm temperatures with likely above average temperatures. Now taking it to your weekend forecast for Las Cruces, we are looking at Saturday, sunny skies, a high of 66 and a low of 45. And Sunday, this is where we see our snowfall with a 90% chance with a high of 46 and a low of 19. Now going into your 5-day forecast at the start of your work week on Monday, partly cloudy skies, a high of 46 and a low of 36. Tuesday, a rain chance of 30% with a high of 55, a low of 30. Wednesday, another high of 50 with a low of 25. Tuesday and Thursday warming up a little, 52 on Thursday and Friday at 63. Now, what would make this pandemic winter brighter? Baby Yoda. That's what Metro Indianapolis residents suggested an artist craft out of snow this year. Rick and I reports on the tribute to the Star Wars character in a galaxy not so far away.
The galaxy is Greenfield, State Street and Forest Avenue, where Grogu, Baby Yoda from The Mandalorian, is the latest creation of the snow artist, Rick Horton.
It just so happens I live on a very busy road, so these are getting a lot of attention.
Like that?
Yeah.
Once a winter, Rick waits for the right weather and makes a snow masterpiece. He started with a bust of Homer Simpson in 1997. He's most proud of the 2 bald eagles 2 years ago and the rattlesnake from 2010. He asked for ideas this year and picked Grogu after much indoor preparation.
I knew this had to look as close as possible, so I did a lot of research. I even sculpted one out of clay so I would have something to go by.
Rick hit the perfect weather this year. A snowfall followed by a cold snap. Grogu is still frozen after more than a week. Rick's snow creations usually don't last that long. But the force is with 5-foot Grogu, who took 7 hours to build on January 31st. The face and the ears created the biggest challenge.
The reward is all the people that come by and see it and smile and come by and forget about everything else, and seeing the kids out here just in awe. I knew people would like it. I had no idea they'd like it as much as they do. Just amazing.
Rick has made amazing snow sculptures for more than 20 years now. He admits to already feeling the heat for what's next, even before Grogu melts away.
That was Hannah with the weather. And now to slide on over to Kristen with sports.
This is KRWG-TV News 22 Sports.
Thanks, Gabe. It's time to kick it with Kristen. Good news for Aggie fans. Sports are back and on the road. To kick us off tonight, we'll start with the NMSU women's soccer team. The Aggies began their season on January 29th and took on the UTEP Miners. And they started off with a bang by handing the Miners a loss. The Aggies got their first 2 goals early in the game at the 15 and 19-minute mark. And their third goal came within the first 2 minutes of the second half. And the Miners just couldn't keep up, resulting in a final score of 3-1. The Aggies then had their second game against Arizona State and received their first loss of the season, losing 4-0. They had their third match of the season last night against the Miners, and we will have the final score and details of that game for you next week. The NMSU volleyball team is back and better than ever. They have won their first 4 matches of the season. In their past 2 matches, the Aggies took on UTRGV and were able to sweep them in both matches. The Aggies have now won 24 WAC matches in a row. They are now looking to take on another WAC competitor, Grand Canyon University, this upcoming Monday. The Aggies took on GCU in last year's WAC championship. Monday's match will take place at UTEP's Memorial Gym in El Paso at 3 p.m. No fans will be allowed, but it will be streamed on the WAC digital network. Now looking at the other side of the court, we're going to turn it over to basketball. The NMSU men's and women's basketball teams are now calling the Eastwood High School basketball court home to comply with the New Mexico COVID-19 guidelines. This past Saturday, the men's team had a much-needed win over California Baptist. The Aggies stomped CBU, winning 97-70. This win ended a 3-game losing streak for the Aggies, and they are hoping to stay in the win column tonight while taking on Seattle U at 7 p.m. And shifting over to the NMSU women's basketball team, they're looking to get out of a 3-game losing streak. They took on Seattle U earlier today, and we'll have the final score and updates from that game for you next week. Now let's keep talking basketball, but jump down under to Hobart, Tasmania. Former NMSU guard AJ Harris signed with the Hobart Chargers last Wednesday. The Chargers have had many successful basketball players on their team, including Hugh Greenwood, who played for the University of New Mexico in 2011 to 2015. The Chargers head coach Anthony Stewart is excited to have Harris on the team and thinks he'll be a great addition.
He's a winner. He's been winning and made the All-Star wax over there, so he's going to be pretty special for us, and I think he'll be a bit of a crowd pleaser and complement our other import that will be announced soon.
And now an inspiring story out of Texas. A high school senior in Fort Worth getting signed to play college football. Now that alone would be an exciting accomplishment, but the details of this story make it even more inspirational. Nicole Nielsen reports. Leslie Adindu is set to play college football without even playing a varsity game in high school. And now that's all for sports tonight. Back to the desk for more news.
Talk about a furry day in court. A Texas lawyer showed up as a cat on a Zoom court hearing on Tuesday. The lawyer said a child turned the cat filter on and he couldn't figure out how to change it back. The judge ended up walking him through removing the filter. He said he was proud of how all sides handled the situation and that no one laughed at him or mocked him for showing up as a cat. Since so many of us are using virtual meetings during the pandemic, always remember to double check your filters.
And don't forget, you can catch all today's aired stories and area news on our YouTube page at youtube.com/KRWG News 22.
And that's all for News 22 Friday. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Tune in next week for more news from across the Southwest. And from the News 22 team, Rosemary, Hannah, Kristen, and myself, good night.
Bienvenidos a este breve informativo de Noticias 22. Con ustedes, Francisco Soto. Después de una semana de la muerte de un policía estatal de Nuevo México, un negocio local está recaudando fondos para los oficiales afectados. House of Graphics, ubicada en la avenida Amador, está vendiendo calcamonías con los logotipos de la Policía Estatal de Nuevo México y de la Policía de la Ciudad de Las Cruces. El dueño del negocio dice que la comunidad está apoyando a las familias afectadas. Al momento, el dueño dice que ya han recaudado más de $22,000 para la familia de la Policía Estatal que falleció, y más de $10,000 han sido recaudados para el policía de la Ciudad de Las Cruces. Este incidente se tomó a cabo el jueves 4 de febrero. El oficial falleció después de una parada de tráfico en la Interestatal 10. Según la investigación, un hombre identificado como Omar Félix Cueva disparó por lo menos una vez hacia el oficial. El oficial murió por causa de las heridas de bala. El funeral del oficial Darian Jarrett tomó parte hoy en Lordsburg, Nuevo México. El oficial Jarrett era miembro de la Policía Estatal desde julio del 2015. Jarrett era padre de 3 hijos y su novia estaba embarazada esperando a su 4º hijo. Eso es todo por hoy. Para Noticias 22, Francisco Soto.
This is KRWG Public Media, Las Cruces, serving the entire region thanks to your support. Become a member anytime at krwg.org.